Welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today trying to work on my stuff, but guess what? Yeah, if you got a good look behind me here, you can see what's been going on here for approximately a week. And it comes and it goes whenever it feels like, and the temperature has been swinging anywhere from the high 40s to the high 80s with 100% humidity always. This is the first time that we're getting some thunder, but the rain just pops up out of nowhere, and I haven't seen the sun in over a week. Mind you, it's only like 2:30 in the afternoon right now, and the street lights and stuff are already on. I don't believe it. It's that dark out here, and the weather has just been that dreary. Welcome back. We've got noisy garbage trucks behind me, and what that means is that it's Thursday. Oh man, listen to that broken glass in there. I broke a dining room tabletop by accident. I had a spare piece of glass that was sitting on the side of the house, and while I was backing out, I kind of turned the car a little sideways, and I got pinched against the fence, and it busted it to hell. So I just threw all the pieces in the garbage can earlier today. Kind of sad that I did that, but then again, at the same time, I had no purpose for it. But yeah, Thursday, garbage man. But behind me here we have Eleanor, my 1956 Beetle that was taken by Hurricane Ivan and since been rebuilt by me to my own specifications. Of course, as a result, I built a chop top because I knew I was never going to get this car quite perfect. And I don't believe it, I'm actually seeing sun. This is the first time I've seen sun, and I think it's been about 9 days. And this just came out just now as I hit the record button. Looking up, you can see it's all kinds of clouds, but they're starting to break apart. But rain is still in the forecast, so I'm going to do the best I can today to get something worked on over here. I think what we're going to start on is we're going to start on Eleanor's rear hatch. That's right. Eleanor's going to get a rear hatch that allows me to get down to the transmission compartment from down in the backside, right through here. And you can see that hatch sitting in there. This is actually from a 73 and up Volkswagen bus, a bay window bus. And you notice how it fits in there damn near perfectly, like it's intended to be in there. Now, I don't know if the Volkswagen people were actually thinking about that, but in the best interest of keeping the Beetle cheap, they probably wouldn't have implemented it anyway. So, I've got the flange. There's the flange that I have to mount in there. This thing needs to be cleaned up and needs some repair work before I can even ever put it in there, because you see there's pieces of it that are actually missing. Some of it over here is all jaggy and messed up. And then there's a whole framework on the other side of it for mounting it inside the bus. And a lot of this stuff doesn't need to be there because, of course, it's not going in a bus. In fact, the whole frame around it entirely really is not going to be necessary because there's so much other sheet metal around it in the Beetle that I don't have to reinforce it quite the same way. Plus, it's not going to be having people stand on it or heavy items placed on it. It's just, yeah, it's not what it was ever intended for anyway. And you can hear the washing machine running right now because that's what I do on Thursdays. I do the laundry for the ducks. And the ducks are out in the yard right now. How's it going there, little ducks? You two are doing well, huh? He came over here to bite me. That's what he always does. You be a good boy, Boomer. You be a good boy. Skeeter's taking her bath. They both needed it really bad. Looks like she got a little bit of a shiver on her. It's not actually cold out here, but that water might be because we've been having some cold nights, so the water that comes out of the pipes in the ground actually might be kind of on the cold side. Right now it's in the high 70s with over 100% humidity, but I'm feeling, now that the sun is coming out, I'm feeling the humidity starting to dissipate, and that's a really, really good thing. Let me get you out of this pool, Skeeter. You don't need to be shivering. No, it's not. Well, the water is cold. Yeah, that water actually is quite cold. Right, Bird? All right. Yeah, you dry off a little bit. I'm sorry you got cold in that pool. Daddy's got some work to do. Yep, Daddy's going to work on your car. Yes, Daddy's going to work on your car. I know. You finish doing your thing, okay? You dry off and then you go back inside. You're going to have some clean blankets for you. You too. You be good. You be good. Oh, poor baby falling down. We're going to have a new video up on Skeeter the Duck channel this weekend, so make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to Skeeter the Duck. And we're going to talk about her. And, well, she's getting old. I'm going to talk about some of the things that are affecting her, including this dummy. Don't you bite her. Don't you bite her. You be good. But otherwise, she's perfectly healthy, and her personality is still the same as Skeeter always was. She just, what happens to all of us, you know, we just start to get old and things don't work as well as they used to, and that's her situation. But she's still the same old loving bird that I always had. Yep. A little bit squawky because he's got her all stirred up. I know, you dry off and we'll go snuggle inside, okay? getting a good look at this frame. It looks like I can see spot welds. There's one right about here. There's another one there. There's another one about 2 inches down from that here. And about 2 inches again, and about 1 3/4 inches. And I'm going to have to either bust those welds, or, because this frame is actually way too big for where it needs to go anyway, is perhaps cut on the inside of this frame and remove section of it. Here's the clips that the door actually pushes into. This is, well, I guess you could call it the hinge. It's not really a hinge, but the receiver section of the hatch does go into that. Yeah, I was going to cut right along this line, but I guess I kind of can't because I need that piece. This is going to require a little bit of strategy, and I think no matter what I do, I'm probably going to make a mistake somewhere. Well, it'll be in my best interest to make the thing as small as possible. So let's see just what I can do here. Well, I think I made some pretty good progress on this here. Went ahead and cut off all that extra metal, and there it is. And instead of using my little weld-busting drill bit, which I had started to use, but it was just too slow of a process, I actually just cut into it with a Sawzall, like that. Cut across this way through one layer, grabbed it with a pair of vice grips and folded it back and forth, and the welds just broke. Because, of course, water sits down. And this is the top of it, so water would be going down. So wherever that it sat, which was all through here, and you can see the rust, most of these welds busted off pretty easy. That wasn't too hard. Over here, these are being a little bit more difficult, so I've started to break those off here. I'm going to run right along this with my air chisel and pop that right off. Whack these little dimples, or pimples, I guess, you know, whatever's left here, these little skin tags. Shoot them all off of there, come along here, knock this thing off too. This lip here, I'm not going to worry about, because when I cut this thing, I'm actually going to be cutting on the opposite side of it. And once I got this set and all that's cleaned up, then we should be able to take this thing and lay it in Eleanor and figure out exactly how it's going to be situated and where we're going to be cutting inside the rear package area back here. Alright, let me clean that up with the air chisel, and then we'll get this thing measured out and figure out where we're going to put it. Still need to pull the body off of that car, but that's going to be one of the next projects, or next video even. You guys have seen me do it before, but I'll do it again. Okay, it looks pretty good. After cutting and banging away at this thing, a lot of rust holes fell through that I didn't see before. There's a couple over here. This was a real soft spot. That spot we knew about. This cracked even further. So yeah, there's a lot more rust on this thing to fix than I thought there was. And also using the air chisel over here to knock some of these bits out, I warped the panel a little bit. So I'm going to lay it on the anvil and gently bang it down. Just gently, ever so gently, make it flat again. And this side, no, that side's not too bad. That side didn't come out of shape. But this one actually did over here. It warped a little bit. Along here it's fine. And along here it's fine. Yeah, right in here it's warped a little bit. I can feel it. A couple little high spots and low spots. My finger's getting caught on them. So anyway, nothing like a little tapping on the anvil won't fix. Let's go ahead and lay it in the car and see exactly what it looks like. I suspect it's going to be a little long this way. I'll probably have to trim a little bit off the back side here and a lot off of this side here. I want to cut no more. This is a kind of a raised bump here. That hatch will sit down into this recessed portion. So I'll probably want to cut just a little bit beyond this here. So I think I can probably gain about, maybe 3/4 of an inch going this way, and more than an inch, almost an inch and a quarter, inch and a half going that way. So yeah, I can certainly shorten that, but I bet you the width is almost exactly what it needs to be. As far as the width is concerned, I think I can just about drop this panel in. Let's find out. No more blah blah blah. Let's go ahead and throw this thing in the car. Okay. Okay. Alright, left to right, as I said, is almost bang on. It's almost right where it needs to be. It does appear to be a little bit too long. That was a good guess. I don't know by how much. Let's find out. Oh, maybe about an inch and a half, 2 inches or so. But since I'm going to cut some of it off the back and I'm going to cut some of it off the front, and then it needs to be recessed and pushed down inside the existing panel, I don't think I'll have any problem making that fit. That actually looks pretty damn good. It's a shame that all the bumps in the stamping don't align with the ones on the Beetle. You know, all this stuff in here. Could have have been really nice if there was the same number of them, but unfortunately not. They weren't meant to be that way. There's actually no swedging back here at all in the curved portion. What I'll do is I'll just cut it all out and weld it right into the curve, which means I can actually take out more than roughly about a whole inch. Pretty good. Up front, yeah, again, the wrong number of stampings. They're not aligned, not even close. A few of them are close, but for the most part, no, they're way off. Well, we'll see what I can do. I don't know where it's going to rest once I drop it in place, but we'll see how that turns out. I'm pretty confident this panel ought to drop right in, though. It should be really close to where it needs to be. Yeah, I think it'll be really close where it needs to be. Here's somebody revving a V8 of some sort. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it's pretty loud. Now, somebody else has a shop here in the neighborhood. I didn't even know about it. We'll have to go investigate and find out who he is. Or she. Maybe it's a she. Who knows? I think my rear hatch is turning out pretty good back here. This is something, like I said, Volkswagen should have done, but they probably did not due to expense. A Beetle was designed to be a cheap and inexpensive car. I see I got to clean up a lot of this debris in here. A lot of that rust has moved around. Let's go ahead and get doing some trimming here. We got to get this body pulled off. And what that means for today is that we're just about wrapped up with what we're doing, or what we can do in this video. So like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to pluck that little dingle belly down next to the subscribe button. That we get updates every time I upload a new video. Please don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles and VW Garage over on the Facebook group page. There'll be discussion on this as well as a few other things. And whatever else anybody else wants to share that they are working on. Doesn't have to be a Volkswagen, doesn't have to be a motorcycle, you know, whatever it is you're working on. If you've got yourself a Lamborghini like Tavares and you got that thing all torn apart, we want to see it. Join us over there on the group page. Thanks much. Always wear your safety stuff when you're using the air ratchet, because not only does it make a lot of sound, but it does a ton of vibration, which you're going to want these for your hands. Down below in my video description, there's links as to how to get a good set of impact gloves. You want hearing protection because this sucker is loud as fuck, and you never know if it's going to be throwing up something in your eyes. So this got me pretty well protected. The only thing I would have done additionally beyond that is something to cover my face, but because this thing doesn't throw chunks that are going to hit me that hard in the face, I wasn't that worried about it at all. Alright, I continued to bang away at this thing and began to wire wheel it and got a lot of the paint stripped off of it. Looks like up through here, the rust isn't too awfully bad except for the places where we are seeing some holes. There's one over here, another one here, one there. This corner is kind of caca. Got a rust hole over here, and over here, over here. All in all, it doesn't look too bad. On the back side, I ground off all of the spot welds that were pushing through, and you can see right there, that's one of the biggest rust holes that are on this flange here. So that's going to need to be fixed. Yeah, there's a rust hole here you can only see from the bottom. Another rust hole over here you can only see from the bottom side also. Receiver part, this is where the lid pushes into. It's not really a hinge, I talked about it earlier. It pushes right in through there, and then on this side is where the latches lock in. Of course, the latches have been cut off, but I've got marks approximately where they're supposed to go. And I'm probably, I think, going to build a little frame out of some tube, square tube, just to go right around the inside of this flange. Just to reinforce it and strengthen it up a little bit. I don't think I need to, but I think some 1-inch tube would be real nice in there just to make it a whole lot more rigid. Help it to keep its shape. There, and get the rest of the paint off of this thing. Wish I could put it in my blaster, but it's actually just a few inches too big. Just like everything else in my life. I gotta push this sucker in, and I would love to blast it, but if I do, when I close the door, it's like right up against the glass. There's no way for me to get the blaster down on top of it so I can actually see what I'm doing. And I can't hardly get my hands in under the gloves to shoot it from the reverse side to do it backwards even, so that would just be dumb. So blasting it is not an option for me right here, so I'm just going to continue to wire wheel it and clean it up. Top side does look pretty good though, but we're going to have to do some cutting and welding, that's for certain. Almost 30% of this little lip that's on here needs to be replaced. Big chunk through here, big chunk through here, this whole corner, little piece here, big piece through here. So yeah, I definitely got to cut that out and rebuild that. That's going to be important to sealing the back of the car and keeping the fumes out of the car. So yeah, that flange definitely needs to be right. Okay, I think we're at a great stopping point for the day. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. just having a walk back around this thing, one of the first things that comes to mind is that I am going to have to raise it back up in order to get the body back off. So I'm going to have to adjust the rear suspension and get that raised up as far as it'll go, because otherwise I won't be able to get the cherry picker underneath the chassis. It's just entirely too low as it sits right now. Definitely too low. And that's one of them little things. It's kind of fussy to get under there and make the adjustment. I could do it with an air ratchet, and that's probably what I will do, but I'll jack it up a little bit and let the suspension sit unloaded. You know, when it's misadjusted, of course, it takes time to settle. And when it's unloaded like that, because it's not settled properly, it's a whole lot easier to turn those bolts. And those bolts adjust those two little fingers that you see in there that are attached to the torsion bars. There's one on each side. And it was a really nice adjustment that I made, and it's kind of temporary, but I'll be cutting that up and doing a little bit more modification to that sometime in the very near future, because I would like to have adjustments that can be made from inside the vehicle rather than from underneath. The underneath adjustment works well, it really does. And it's great for either adjusting the ride height or adjusting the balance of the car. You know, if one side's a little higher than the other, you can play with that. Or if I were going to be racing, let's say, and I was going to be making nothing but left turns, I can adjust the preload on the right-hand side to raise that side up a little bit, and that would make a lot more sense, you know, if I was going to be doing a NASCAR, you know, but if I were building a Herbie to ride in NASCAR, you know, hint, hint, Lindsay Lohan, I could certainly play with the adjustments on that, but no, I'm not going to be leaving the adjustments on the bottom of the car. As much as they are functional and they do work well, it's difficult to get to, especially when it's down low. But it sure beats taking apart the spring plates and making the adjustments by turning the torsion bars, because that's a real pain in the ass. For those of you that adjusted the rear suspension on the Volkswagen before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not hard to do, but you got to take out a ton of bolts, and it requires a lot of adjustments and fiddling to make it right. And you got to put the angle gauge on it, and you have to check it against the other side, and you got to turn one way and turn the outer the other way, and this and that. And there's a whole lot of, you know, before you know it, you're doing this. Yeah, I'll have to be making some adjustments in there and move the adjustment screws to the inside somehow, some way. I've already got a plan for that. Thank you guys in advance for your suggestions. I'm sure you're going to give me some, but I've got my own ideas in mind, so we're going to jump on that sometime in the very, very near future.